back to another impactful night of the Impact Education Leadership. This is episode 166. I'm your host, ID34, Isaiah Drone. Tonight's panelist is, well, tonight's guest is Dr. Stephen Jones. Sir, please say hello again to the people.
Hello, I'm so glad to be here this day to really talk about an important issue.
Absolutely. We are so glad to have you here. And now, sir, what have you been up to? What you got going on currently, sir? Because I have been seeing you on different social media platforms. I know you're interviewed a lot on CBS and other TV networks, but what you got going on currently, sir?
Well, currently I am, of course, I'm always writing books. So I'm on my sixth book, which is it's more of a journal where the person can every day do a journal, get something motivational, something biblical, scriptural that will encourage them. And they always get to interact with me as well. So trying to, into the new year, going to produce that book probably within the first couple of months of the new year. And then, of course, I'm getting excited because students are about to come back in a couple of weeks. They started off with this break, the Christmas and holiday break, and I was looking at how they performed and how I can help them to get better at how they performed.
Exactly, sir. And this topic tonight is so tailor-made to what you just said, I believe it is. And that topic is overcoming the shame of a first semester college student. The overall status dropout rate for 16 to 24-year-olds decreased from 7.4% in 2010 to about 5.3% in 2020. Is that correct?
Yeah, and if you were going to look at it very often, if let's say we had 10 young women standing in front of us that are going off to college, out of those 10 young women, maybe about 6 or 7 of them will finish if they're black males, black women. If they're black males, then maybe 4 or 5 of them might finish. So, yeah, these statistics are critical when we look at our community and what we're doing to set the students up for success or for failure.
Exactly. And this is why we are so fortunate to have you on the podcast to talk not only about, black students, African-American students, but we want to talk about minority students as well. What I mean by that is, Hispanic and Asian, Pacific, even white students. During the time of that stat that I pulled, the status dropout rate, it declined from Hispanics from 15.1% to 7.4%, and blacks from 8% to 4.2%. Okay. And what the researchers gathered in this hypothesis was that finding college or finding the right college is one of the most stressful things that college students endure in their first semester. And does this affect the dropout rate if a student goes to the wrong college, that college that it really doesn't motivate them? They're already confused in some cases on what to do and where to be at. Does finding the wrong institution affect a student's motivation to finish at that university? What's your thoughts about that?
Well, there's also some research that says within the first 6 weeks of attending a college, a student will know whether that's the place that they should have been. And, it's like in terms of their ability to form friendships, connect with professors, get the resources not to feel isolated, having conversations that motivate them over that period of the first 6 weeks. So it's really, really critical to get to them before they get, kind of wrapped up into a situation where they're just thinking negative. But yes, they can pretty quickly find that the college was too big or was too small, or it was too far away from home. All those things can be factors in whether adjusting that first part of the semester will happen.
Sir, I want to walk with you for a moment. I want the listening audience to kind of hold your hand as we walk with you, and you give us some keen insight to what I'm about to ask, and that is from your history of being a dean of a university, of being a professor at a university, and you have seen what we have said so far. You've seen it in real time. You've seen it, the whole scenario played out year in and year out, over and over again. You've seen those same characters. You've seen that same student, whether it was a girl, a woman, a male, boy, get into a college and was totally overwhelmed, totally powerless, and felt shame and felt as if it was just too much. It was an overload of anxiety, an overload of stress. What did you tell those students to encourage them? Would you share that with us? Would you give us a story on a student that really wouldn't have made it without your guidance? If you don't mind, sir.
Yeah, I think one of the things that well, first of all, I'm going to, speak to them to encourage them that it's going to be okay. This is a new environment. If they reflect back on moving from elementary school to middle school to high school, they were all adjustments, and now we're adjusting at an even higher level of adjustment. So it's not uncommon, and I also share with them that I struggled the first semester of college, and what I wish that I had known in terms of really one of the critical things that students that are getting into that first semester don't know how to manage their time, don't know how to manage their priorities, and often the habits that they got away with in high school in terms of turning papers in late or preparing for a test the day before are not habits that are going to work for them in college. And the students, are basically saying to me, well, I didn't know because I was able to do those things. I was able to turn in papers late. I could study the night before a test and still get a good grade. And now I'm finding myself struggling and feeling far behind because I didn't really think that I needed to study as much as I need to study and manage my time as much as I need to study. So I really talk with them about getting themselves a good schedule that they're going to follow, and then what they should be doing within that schedule to enhance their chances of success. And I think that's really worked in terms of how do you study, how do you organize what you're doing, making sure that you're ready for every class. All of that takes a lot of planning. And I try to give them some strategies on, especially at the beginning of the week, like a Saturday morning, Sunday morning. That's when you're planning for your week. That's when you're getting yourself in preparation for the chapters that you're going to read or the research that you're going to do. That don't wait until the week actually starts. You can get a head start on your weekend by planning. And that's something that, again, in high school, they didn't really have to plan like that. But now to be successful, they have to plan.
Thank you for that. The traditional colleges offer so many things to students. They offer entertainment, they offer sports, they offer fraternities, sororities. They offer so many things. But are traditional colleges becoming extinct? Do they still matter? Do traditional college institutions, do they still matter? What's your thoughts about that?
Well, if we're just looking from the income perspective, a student that graduates with a bachelor's degree will earn, over $1 million more in their lifetime than a student who doesn't have a bachelor. That's just talking about the bachelor's degree. If you add a master's, I'm sure that's $1.5 million or $2 million. and even doctorate even further than that. So there's an income potential that you increase by earning a college degree. There are promotion opportunities within your job. There are often requirements if you have the college degree to even work certain types of jobs. I know there's this feeling out there that not everyone should go to college, and there are I agree, there are trade schools, there are other types of training programs. It will take, though, additional education to get where very often people want to get to, and that's why I'm kind of biased in that I encourage a college education because that's what I know will transform a person's life.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Dr. Stephen Jones. Tell us a little bit about what you do at your university, Villanova. What do you do day in and day out, a typical day?
Okay. So I'm an associate dean in the College of Engineering at Villanova University, and part of my title is success. And I make sure that our students have all the resources that they need to be successful. So they're meeting with me on an ongoing basis, getting coaching, advising, making sure they're getting to the right resources, whether it's tutoring or counseling, whether it's meeting with their advisor, getting the right kinds of classes, finding the amount of money that they need. On a typical day, I'm advising my National Society of Black Engineers students. I'm an advisor for them, Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers students. Working with my pre-college programs. I have programs for high school students that come on a Saturday during the spring. I have a summer program that I get ready for, and we manage during the summer. I'm on, different committees, academic standing. I'm on the wellness committee. I'm on the diversity, equity, inclusion committee. I'm involved in several boards outside of Villanova University itself. So I'm always in the community as well, working with high schools and middle schools and trying to encourage STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. That's my passion all day, every day, along with, again, my books and so forth are around college readiness and college success. So I do seminars sometimes in the evenings and sometimes on the weekends for schools and for community organizations. And then I'm writing books. So every day is a full day.
I love that, Dr. Jones. Is there a survey that you use to gain more information, to personalize and tailor make information for each of your scholars, your students, the future college students there that will graduate from your universities, or even your mentorship programs? How do you do it, if you don't mind sharing? How do you do it? How do you help them? How do you help someone find their I would say career path? What to major in, because if I major in music but I'm not a musician, but I think it's cool to be around the band guys, right? Or if I major in dance because I see some good looking people out there, in their recitals, but I'm not a dancer. And so you talked about time management, and so now I've wasted all this time trying to find a major. What has been your experience with students? You saw them wasting their time trying to find a major. They was trying to figure it out, didn't quite have it, and it took them almost too long at the expense of their parents or loan money to figure out what their niche was. And then, is there a survey that you use to help them, to guide them along the way? What do you do? That's my question.
Yeah, well, a lot of the colleges, and ours included, in their career center, students can go there and take a career test, and the career test will show them a list of different types of opportunities they may want to consider based on their areas of interest. And then there's a dictionary called the Dictionary of Occupational Titles that they can look up the different positions, which That dictionary occupational titles tells you the name of the position, the amount of education required, and the income that they'll earn if they're able to complete the degree in those areas. So I think that's a good thing. Taking career tests, talking to the career counselor. The career centers at colleges also have counselors. That's what they do all day, every day, is trying to give students advice about different options that might be available to you. And they have a history of working with students in that college. Usually the counselors will be assigned to each one of the schools, the business school, the school of nursing, engineering, arts and sciences. So usually they'll have specific career counselors that deal with them and have conversations with them about their direction. I also say to students, use that as an opportunity to pursue an internship, working with the counseling center, tutoring center, not the tutoring center, the career center, finding out their internship opportunities, because that's a great way to actually get out there, get into the field for 10 weeks, and find out whether the area that you thought you were interested in was as interesting as you thought it would be, or whether you need to consider something else. Sometimes students will use 2 or 3 of their internships to figure out exactly what they want to do, and that's good to get that kind of upfront experience. I think is really helpful in making a good decision. And then the other reality is that out there, once they graduate, today students are staying in jobs every 3 to 5 years. They're either changing within their company or changing and going to another company. So it's a much more mobile place of employment that students are experiencing. And in the past, yes, people did work places 10, 20, and 30 years, but that has been flipped on its head, and much of it's changing because of the way that companies and students are operating.
Oh, that was perfect. That was perfect. That was perfect. You know how important it is for networking, especially in your profession. Networking and partnerships, you use these on a day-to-day basis. And so the listening audience want to know, how do you solicit? How do you solicit to those partnerships with those different law firms to come in and do a workshop, or to come in and do apprenticeships, or come in and hire some of your students? How do you set up those engineering fairs where you have the top engineering firms from NASA, from you name it, they come in and they recruit some of your top-notch students to go and work at their firms? What does that process look like? And the reason why I'm asking is because I want to build this excitement for our young college students that are still trying to figure it out. A lot of kids now want to be gamers. They want to be gamers. They want to go in, and they may not know that that's coming from underneath a engineering umbrella. And so you may want to be a gamer, but there's so many other spectrums that you can work under and still get the same type of satisfaction, right? So could you share with us, how do you guys pull those together? How do you because you have a STEAM academy. And so how do you network, and how do you pull those things together? How do you find the right people to put in the right mix and just make it work? What's your thoughts?
Yeah. So for me, I've always stayed in touch with a lot of the alumni who've graduated from all 3 colleges that I've worked at. And so I have alumni ranging from age 55 all the way down to just recently graduated. And I can call on them to come in and speak to my students about their careers. I can call on them to tell me about internships and job opportunities at their companies. But the way that I do that is I stay involved with them. I call them periodically. I email them. I invite them out to the university itself on different events that we're having. Um, and then sometimes if they're too busy, they'll say, I can't do it this year, but I'll do it next year. But, you're just cordial with them. You're appreciative of the time that they are willing to commit. I go out there with them. There's, for example, the National Society of Black Engineers has a professional chapter in Philadelphia. So I'll go to one of their events or a few of their events. I'll go to their meetings so I can then network with those who are professionals out in the field now. I'll go to a dinner or a banquet where, again, I'll be meeting with some alum or someone will introduce me to someone at a table that's looking for an opportunity or looking to offer an opportunity to students. So I think it's something that I naturally do, but it's something that I've always viewed as important. And one of the things I will say also, again, I'm a fan of LinkedIn. LinkedIn has a lot of professionals there who can be helpful. And so I've developed relationships with people over the years who are not from the university that I've worked from, but who have experiences that can be beneficial to my students. So I've used that venue as an opportunity to get to know people, for them to get to know me, and then for calling on them when my students need, let's say, a job at Merck Company or a job at Johnson & Johnson. I can call on certain people to see what's available. So I think it has to be a way of life that you're not sheltered in, that you're pursuing ways to connect with people, and they'll reach out to you as well. They'll create opportunities for you as well if you're doing that reaching out.
Dr. Jones, thank you again. That was just so perfect what you said. How long have you been in education?
This is my 39th year.
And so with 39 years of education, because this is a very competitive career path to take. It's not, people drinking coffee all day. It is literally, you're doing assessments, you're testing, you are studying statistics, you're looking at patterns, you have to know psychology, you have to know pedagogy, you have to know human development, you have to know sociology. There are so many spectrums of information that you have to know about just to go to work every day, just to do your job, right, with that confidence. And so when students see you, they see a role model. They see someone that's full of energy, someone that is focused, someone that uses time management skills, and you're role playing to them. And a lot of the students that you interact with, you're the only positive display that they get to see day in and day out. How do you feel about that? How does that make you feel as an educator?
Well, I count it a blessing from God to have that opportunity to have breath, to use it in the way that I've been able to use it. And I thank God that I found my passion early. I was a teenager when I started helping other young people in our neighborhood and our community, and was a community activist with one of the organizations there. And so just always had this passion for the education of others and having them to succeed. So I think it's kind of been a natural thing. In other words, when I go to my job, it's not a job or work, because I enjoy what I'm doing and I see the impact of what I'm doing. And when a former student brings me their child to my university, then I know and I feel really blessed to be able to see that and to know that they've been successful. When 20 years ago that I laid the foundation for them to become successful professionals. And then for their children to go on to college as well. So I think that those things have been really rewarding. But I think also what's been rewarding is for those students who are just like myself, who were the first in their family to go to college. I was the first in my family of 6 children to go to college. And like I said, I struggled my first semester, and there are lots of other students that struggle their first semester for a number of different reasons. Sometimes pride gets in the way. Students struggle the first semester because they don't want to go get tutoring. They don't want to go to help because they never needed it before, and they were at the top of their class in their school. So why should I need help? And so I've been able to work with those students to say, hey, it's okay. You might need help to succeed. And here are the people that you need to be meeting with to help you to get through your first semester. And that don't let your pride get in the way of making sure that you're connecting with the right people. Even I've had students who thought that they were great writers and get to college and find out that they weren't as good a writer as they thought they were. And so, for example, we have a writing center on our college campus, and I refer them to the writing center. That writing center might be in your English department, wherever you're attending college. But just being able to take advantage of those resources and not be too prideful, sit back in your room and the dormitories on your campus and not go out to get the help that's there for you so that you don't have to struggle and you can get through that first semester. When I didn't get the highest grade that I thought I should after my first semester, I met with a counselor, and that counselor sat down with me and helped me to get organized and manage my time. And all the things I'm telling you about are things that I wish I had known my first semester, that I wouldn't have struggled as much as I did. And hope that I'm giving that back to students to benefit from and to make sure that they don't get on probation.
Oh, see, that's enough, and we got to go there. We got to go there. This is awesome. This is awesome. I do want to dive a little bit deeper, Dr. Jones. I hope that's okay.
Not a problem.
Okay. Let's talk about the pros and the cons of traditional universities versus online universities or institutions. What are the pros? You've been in education for 4 decades. What are the pros that you have seen that you can share that's unbiased, okay, but nevertheless effective? What are the pros and cons betwixt the two institutions, traditional brick and mortar and those online universities, institutions? Please share with us.
Yeah, a lot of the online institutions cater to those who are already working, 24 years old and older. And so years ago, when these online courses first started, they were suspect, and people didn't know whether they could legitimately get degrees with them in the past. But today, they're mainstream. They're considered curriculums that the universities are offering, and professionals or young people could take the online courses. I think we all were surprised when COVID happened and all the students had to go online, and the universities had to make shifts to get these students online and still get them their classes. And so, the online experience had its value then, because otherwise the university wouldn't be able to educate the students. I think both can be. I think the difference with online, of course, is that you're not sitting in the class. And I do believe that there's some dynamic of sitting in a class, interacting with people, looking around at them and at their faces, interacting with the instructor is different than being in a virtual environment. I think you have to know yourself. You have to, when you get opportunity to take the online course, or how you were when you're taking the hands-on courses and that they were face-to-face with you, how you felt. But going online is, if you're an undergrad student, you're going to miss a lot of the interaction that happens on campus, all of the different programming and resources. Not to say that it can't be done, but most of the universities today, now that COVID has kind of subsided, are offering classes where students have to be in class. So there's not that much of an option, unless there's a unique situation where the students today are online like that. But again, for those who are older, 24 years old and older, it's a good opportunity because they're working full time during the day. They might have families, and they still want to pursue this goal. So I think it depends on the situation of the student that determines the value that they would place on online course versus face-to-face.
There's such a multiplicity of knowledge that you are giving us, and a lot of it is so rich. It would take the listeners a few times to go back and listen to this podcast more than one time just to gain that knowledge. And I really encourage the listeners to get a notebook out and start writing some notes, and and then highlight those important parts that you're hearing Dr. Jones tell you or say or share with you in this conversation. Dr. Jones has been in education for almost 40 years, right? Longer than I've been almost alive. But I'm getting older though, but I can't keep using that. It feels good, but I'll be lying to say that. Dr. Jones, you've been in education for 40 years. Okay? 40 years. How has education changed since you first started? What have you seen? And I know that's a good question, but what have you seen? Yeah. How has it changed since you first started in education?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when I first started out of college, I'm trying to think whether the Apple computer.
No, they didn't even have computers back then. They had mainframes.
Yeah,
no, I'm joking.
I didn't do my job so that was when I got to Drexel. Again, there were no computers. Like there were no laptops. There were no iPads, and there wasn't all the technology. So we had a lot more people meeting with us on a regular basis and interacting with them. And I had students that I managed that were peer counselors that would go out to meet with them, with the students. So everything was definitely more face-to-face and interactive that way. And then when I moved from that one university to Drexel University, eventually they came out with the Apple computer and the PCs. So that drove how we communicate with one another. We could communicate with each other through email and have that additional interaction. And I think that that's good because the students can now catch up with the professors, and the professors can catch up with the students by emailing them and sharing information. And of course, now we've gone even further than that with laptops and the smart boards that came along that you can actually project onto boards. It used to be projectors we used to use, but now we have these, smart boards where you can bring up websites and all kinds of information on the smart board. You can write on the smart board. So that definitely, and there are also smart desks now that light up and you can draw on them and share information. So we're just moving forward with all this technology, the way that we do things. Artificial intelligence is out there as well, which is helping people to learn. And we have to monitor the technology because you don't want the technology to take over everything. And then you just mentioned it, online learning. Online learning used to be a correspondence course where you would write and mail in documents, homework assignments. And now that's all done electronically. So that you have deadlines and you're supposed to get those documents in at a certain time. So, I think it's changed, and it's changed for the good, and really helped. Zoom has helped out in these various um, programs that allow you to have video conferencing have been a great addition and helped a lot of people. And then, places like YouTube and other Khan Academy that teach online how different topics go. So I think we're definitely at an advanced age, a great age, if you're willing to put in the work. And as you pursue your goal, doors will open.
Oh, that was good. Okay. This is so good. Dr. Jones, this is so good. How you feeling about this right now? How you feel? How you feel?
Oh, yeah, it's excellent. I'm trying to, hopefully these will be tips
Oh, God,
that
yeah.
can be shared. Certainly, I'm always available for people to get in contact with me for other dialogue, or if they want me to do something at their school, community organization. I have a consulting business as well.
Okay, really quick, tell the listening audience, how can they get in contact with you?
Okay, so you can go on LinkedIn, Dr. Stephen Jones, DrStephenJones. You look that up, you'll find me. You'll find all kinds of information about what I do, my background, and you can communicate with me there. My website is drjonesbooks.com. That's DrJonesBooks.com. That's where you'll find my educational books, 7 Secrets of How to Study, the Ultimate Scholarship Guide, and the Parent's Ultimate Guide. We can get those to your students and your parents. And I do seminars and workshops for schools. You can also email me at stephenjoneses@rcn.com. That's stephenjonesses@rcn.com. And you can call me at 610-842-3843. So there's multiple ways to contact me. I'm very, very visible. Even if you put Dr. Stephen Jones in Google, I will come up on the first page.
And let me just say this, listen, audience, this man is one of the most humblest people you ever want to meet. He's saying all this, he spit out all that, but he didn't tell you he has almost 100,000 followers on LinkedIn alone, okay? You would have never got that from the way he just gave you his information. So go out there and check him out and connect with him. There's a wealth of information. Dr. Jones, you know me, I'm about to go there. And so a lot of people say students are cut differently now than then. Are they? Are your students, you've been in education for 40 years, do you see a change in the type and the caliber of students that we have now as opposed to the ones we had 20, 30, even 40 years ago?
I think students, go ahead.
No, that's my question.
Okay, I'll go, we were talking about the past. I'll go to the past again. In the past, we had encyclopedias, which are kind of books that were alphabetized, that had information about all kinds of things around the world. It had information about different types of things in society and history, and that was a lot of all knowledge were in the encyclopedia and in books and libraries. And so now I think that this information is more readily available to the students through their phones, through computers, that they can download books and listen to them. They can, the audio books, they can do their research online. They can meet people and connect with people around the world. So I think that there's a lot more information available at the students' fingers, whereas in past generations, they had to spend more time getting that information and researching that information, going to the library. Now, I go to our library on campus these days, and there are no bookshelves. All there are desks where the students can bring their laptops and do their work and do their research at the library and study groups to do their work. So it's definitely that different. I think ways that we used to process information, even for example, math. We didn't have calculators. We had to use our minds, and we had to use our methods to do math. And now they have these scientific calculators where they can do the calculation and not have to even go through the formulas like we went through in the past. So I think that has definitely made the students different in terms of how deeply they research information. And I'm concerned about it at times because sometimes you're just getting surface information and counting it as true when it's not all of the information. So that's one thing that I'm really concerned about these days, that in the past we used to dig deeper into the information to find the truth of what was said. And sometimes today, whatever is said is held as true, even though it hasn't been researched.
Oh, see, and that's really another topic. As you were talking, let me say this. As you were talking, it was so much information. I love it. I'm just grateful to have you here. But as you were talking,
I'm so appreciative of being here.
as you were talking, I was just, I feel a little bit better because I have personally thought they were cut differently. But if you really think about it, technology kind of fills in the gap, and it's not going anywhere. Technology is not going anywhere. It's not. It's been set up. If it goes anywhere, then there'll be a totally different new creation of society, meaning that the world will have to end before technology went anywhere. So we wouldn't see it anyway. Where we are now, and when you were talking, I was that person. I was that guy that was saying, yeah, that's right. I'm old school. And I know my daughters are listening in, and they're like, Dad, we're trying to tell you it's all about the new school. But they're right, because if I were digging a ditch like 40 years ago, I would have used a shovel. But now they got machines. They got a machine that can go in and dig their grave that it would take me hours to dig up. It's the same thing as a hole in the ground. All I was trying to do is dig a hole in the ground to bury something.
Mm-hmm.
But the tools I was using hadn't gone through the process of innovation like the tools that my children are using. And so that I didn't even think like that until you started talking. Then I started traveling and thinking like that. Okay, so I think we got the listeners interested about college. Now let's talk about the nitty gritty, and that is the money, because it's not free. College is not free. It's not free, man. Sir, it's not free. And so let's talk about the financial hurdles, because they're real. Let's talk about, what do students need to do that don't have money? And in many cases, it's not just Black and Hispanics or racial minorities. All kids need to have money to go to college. What are some programs that you tell students that they can use to help them fund their education that's not going to count too much against them, and give them financial hardship in the future? What do you tell them? Because I know you got a wealth of knowledge in it as well, the financial part. Yeah.
So before I do that, I wanted to say that very often, in terms of the struggling student that we were talking about earlier, the financial element is a part of it. If you're in your first semester and you're still not feeling confident that you're going to get all the money that you need to pay for that first semester, it can be very stressful. Or if you thought your parent was going to contribute and then they decided they can't contribute, that can cause a lot of stress on a student in the first semester. So it's really important for you to choose a college that you can afford for not just the first year, but for all 4 years. Because sometimes what colleges will do is they'll give you enough money for the first year, and you'll have a scholarship that covers part of your cost. That scholarship could be $10,000 or $20,000 for the first year, but it's only for 1 year. I'm going to say this again. That scholarship is only for 1 year. Once it goes away, then you have to come up with the additional $10,000 or $20,000 to pay for that college. So you need to be really aware of the college that you're selecting. You should have more than one college that you apply to anyway. You should apply to at least 5 colleges so that you have options and you're not locked in on a particular university and the cost of that university might be out of your range. So yeah, I think it's really important to look at that overall picture so that I'm not putting myself in a debt situation that I can't take advantage of the opportunity to get that college degree that I always wanted. So as far as the scholarships, of course, I have written a scholarship book called The Ultimate Scholarship Guide. Again, that's at drjonesbooks.com. But you can, one of the things that you can do is research every week for scholarships. What students will typically do is they'll get one scholarship or they'll get one rejection and then they'll just give up on going after scholarships. You have to apply again and again and again to fill up the line of potential scholarships that you can receive. And applying for them is part of the battle. A lot of times students are so busy during the school year that they don't get started on those. And you can start on those, looking those up and finding them in the 11th grade. You don't have to wait till 12th grade to do that research. And then after you've done the research, then you need to have recommendation letters, you need to write the essays, and putting some of those essays away on your computers is something you can pull out on another application that you're submitting is critical. Definitely approach sororities and fraternities for scholarships, organizations in your field. There's the National Association of Nurses or of Engineers. Just find those societies that offer scholarships, places you use every day. The McDonald's, Coca-Cola, BJ's. Look at those kinds of places that you buy things from every day. And those are always scholarship opportunities as well. I'm really understanding that you have to invest the time, you have to be consistent, you have to know who the people are that are going to do recommendations for you, and you have to make sure that you look at different types of aspects of even your own school website. Because sometimes on school district websites, they actually post scholarships. And then your counselors may have opportunities for you to get scholarships at your high school. Make sure you're checking with them periodically. So they're doing all these kind of things I just mentioned could help a student to find money for college.
Oh, my goodness. Listen, we're out of time, but before we go, let me ask you one more question. Dr. Jones, you have been amazing. The information that you have given is going to help thousands, if not millions. What common myths about, and we're talking about the United States right now, okay? Because they've been talking about the loan, the loan repayment or loan forgiveness bill that's kind of been in and out of Congress. What are your thoughts about, and how can we use that bill to help us get out of debt? Is it reliable? Because I know you know. I know you know. What's your thoughts about it?
Court right now. So the loans that they were going to go back into effect in January have now been pushed to either July or August because the Supreme Court got involved and is holding up the money that they were going to allow people to be forgiven for. So who knows how long they'll keep it in court. I hope it'll be before June when they make a decision about that. But right now, it's on hold. It's not moving forward.
So it's just a bill. It's just the bill. It's not a law. It's just the bill.
It's not a law. Yeah, it's not a law. It's something that President Biden had authority to pass, but he didn't take it through Congress to implement it. Although most of them were for it, it was okay. It'll be interesting to see what happens next month, because then the Republicans take over the House. And even though this didn't go through it didn't go through the Congress, still I'm sure they'll be trying to influence the Supreme Court justices. So we'll just have to see.
Wow. Well, listen, this has been another Education Leadership podcast. Our guest tonight, the one and only Dr. Stephen Jones.
Facebook.